Morning, everybody, and welcome to our first sort of in-app connect call. Can everybody still see me?
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, cool. So I just want to quickly share a little bit about the community. I know some people will be new to the community, and there's certain things that we principles that we operate by. You'll see our community is not your typical networking community where it's a whole bunch of people just sitting trying to sell stuff to each other. It's about building relationships, having conversations. For instance, like what we're doing today, in a slightly instead of one-on-one, we're doing it in a group setting, and that's how you build relationships. That's also how you grow your network, is by actually having conversations. That's why when you come to our meetups, we don't have a PowerPoint presentation for 2 hours and then you're done with that and everybody goes home. We don't do that. We pretty much just come and have conversations, because we understand that's where the value is, right? Is in you having conversations. That's how you grow your network. That's how you find new business opportunities, is by having conversations with people. So I want to quickly I'm going to share a few points. Every time we have these connect calls, I'm going to share a few points. If you're watching this or you're on the call and you haven't gone and looked at if you join, you get access to the Networking Like a Pro short course. There's a bonus video right in the beginning, super important. If you just watch that video, I think it's about 3 or 4 minutes or something. If you just watch that video and nothing else, it would be helpful, because what it shares is the 18 or 20, somewhere around there, principles that we have in the community. And I'm going to touch on 1 or 2 of them now. And then I'm going to ask everybody just to briefly introduce themselves, what area you're from, or where in South Africa you're from, and also just tell us a little bit about your business. First, these are just literally points that I wrote down, so I'm not going to explain them. I think a lot of them are self-explanatory, but I'm just going to give you the points. So networking is a give before you take situation. Okay, I'll often play this game at an event. Who has come to get business introductions or wants business introductions? Everybody puts their hands up. Then I'll ask who has done a business introduction in the last day, week, months, and then no hands come up. And what that shows is this disconnect. Everybody wants business introductions, but nobody's doing them. So total disconnect in it. And that's why we always say, if you want more introductions, you have to do more introductions. Okay, that's how it works, is you first have to give the introductions. And funny enough, then all of a sudden you start getting them. The space or the app is not just about building contacts. It's about building relationships. Everything starts with a conversation. That's why I'm always talking about connect calls. A connect call. I know, Liz, you said you were on a connect call with Candy yesterday. Connect calls are super easy. You reach out to somebody in the app. Everybody's there for the same reason. So it's not weird. It's not like you're randomly messaging somebody on Facebook or Instagram or something. Everybody's there for the same reason. They know the whole story with connecting. You send them a message, you jump on it. I usually keep my connect calls no longer than 20 minutes. Do it 20 minutes, get a connect call. Very important when I'm quickly going to share, if you're watching this recording as well, that we do, and I want people to start also doing in the community, is to start leveraging each other's networks. Okay, and what that looks like is you have a quick connect call with Candy. First of all, just get to know Candy in that before you just jump into things and stuff. I always say it's like dating, right? You don't just walk up to somebody randomly and propose to them. It's weird. Okay, you first go have a coffee, hold hands, whatever, and before you know it, then you go into the marriage or whatever. But it's the same as that. So you got to think about it the same way. So you get on that connect call. Nothing stops you at the end of the connect call to say, "Cool, Candy, I can hear a lot of people that probably I could benefit my business, and I probably have people that could benefit your business." And you set up a separate call. And now what you do is you jump on a call together and you start leveraging each other's networks. This is the introductions I'm looking for. Do you know anybody that runs a business in the Cape Town area in Bloberg, blah, blah, blah? Shit, yeah, my uncle actually has a business. I'm going to introduce you. And now you start leveraging each other's networks. You don't need to, you can do it in a 20-minute call, quickly just do some introductions. So that's another way of doing things. But the step one is always connecting first. Okay, get to know that person, okay, before you just start jumping into things in that. And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake with the networking, is they want to come to a networking event and they want business from the networking event. If you're going there for that, you're going to be very disappointed. Doesn't matter which networking event you go to, you're going to walk away going, it's a waste of time. So I'm not going to even try and go through all these ones, because there was one more that I wanted to quickly let me mention one more. Yeah. So another big one is, one conversation can change the direction of your business forever. Okay. So don't underestimate those conversations. They honestly, you just never know where that conversation goes. And usually when it's organic, it's also usually where the magic happens in that as well. So every time we have these calls, I'm going to share a few extra points. We're not going to have enough time to go through all of them, but I wanted to just share that. And yeah, I'm going to ask Liz, because you were first on the call today. So you are obviously the most keen. So if you can just share with us, just to briefly introduce yourself, and just what area you're from in South Africa, and what business or industry are you in?
Yeah, thanks, Quentin. Yeah, no, it's always lovely meeting like-minded people who are actually interested in getting to know you instead of just what can I get from you? Like, what can I sell you? So it's really exciting to be part of this community as well. So my name is Liz. I'm actually based in Cape Town. So I've been here for 11 years now, which, yeah, it doesn't feel that long, but yeah, I've been here for a while. And I'm in the coaching space as well. So I'm a professional development coach, and I work with business leaders and entrepreneurs to help them face the challenges that they get into when they get to scaling, whether or not that's their leadership capacity, whether or not that's within their teams. And I do that through personalized and very practical, like, coaching engagements, one-on-one, as well as workshops. So that has been a very rewarding experience so far. And a key element of that is not only, leveling up their professional skills and their interpersonal skills, but also doing it without burning out. A lot of times, like, people, especially driven and motivated people, are really excited and motivated in the start, and then 3 years down the line, they've essentially built a cage for themselves of like, oh my word, like, I'm doing so much and I actually don't enjoy this anymore. And that burnout starts setting in because they haven't let go as they've grown. And that's always very interesting to see, like, okay, cool, where do they need to let go? Where do they need to level up their own skills? Because what served them well previously is not necessarily serving them well now. So that journey is a very exciting one, and to kind of help people not only with that internal change, but also practically, what do you do in order to, like, facilitate these changes that you go through and stuff as well? And like, how does that show up in the real world? So balancing both that internal, like, growth as well as the practical challenges and how to face that. That's something I love doing.
Awesome, thanks. I was smiling. I was smiling there because some of the stuff that you just mentioned, you can ask Candy and Miles. They've been very involved with the app and that. Some of the stuff that you just mentioned now, I've just recently experienced again for myself, and I'm a coach myself, so I know this stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it happens so quickly. So before I go, I'm going to ask Candy to share next. What you have shared a little bit, but if I have to ask you, what's the biggest problems that you solve for your clients?
The biggest problem that clients start off with, the biggest symptom that they generally come to me with, is the fact that it's like, oh, I just don't know anymore. Like, they feel stuck, right? Where it's like, it's sort of like hitting that professional plateau, whether or not that's in their business, whether or not that's in their career, and it's just feeling stuck. And they've tried everything that they know what to try, and it's like just being able to be that, hold up that mirror, and it's like giving them that fresh perspective. That has always been a very interesting thing, and then seeing that momentum and productivity just skyrocket again as they just redirect their efforts slightly. And it's like, this is, oh, I've been hitting my head against the same wall. And it's like, well, why don't you just pivot slightly? And being able to just have that space to explore that and step out of that busyness, because there's so many things that can keep people stuck in and like, oh, busy, and I'm doing so much and all of that, without taking the time to actually be like, okay, wait, take a moment, step back and explore that more deeply before putting in that effort again. And yeah, so that's the biggest symptom of like the underlying problem of like just heading down the same path.
Awesome. Cool. Thanks for sharing that, Liz. Appreciate it. Next up, Candy, if you can just briefly introduce yourself, where you're from, and just tell us a bit about your business as well.
Thanks, Quentin. So I'm Candy, and I'm a brand photographer based in Johannesburg. So essentially what I do is a little bit more than just creating photos for my clients. I work with them through a client experience flow where I guide them through the process of planning for this shoot. But it's a lot more about their growth and their connection with their brand and building an online presence than the actual photo. Because I find that a lot of people will go and have one or two headshots done, but they'll update a profile picture, but they won't create an online presence. And essentially what we want to do with my clients' businesses is we want to create content that reaches their audience and has their audience reaching back to them. So in a perfect world, it would be no more cold calling, no more reaching out. But it does go hand in hand with connecting in communities and networking and stuff like that, where you've got a presence, you can make an introduction with somebody, you can share those contact details and say, come and learn a bit more about me. My online presence is there. It's a very daunting idea for a lot of us, myself included, to create an online presence, but it's with the right type of coaching and guidance, it's not as scary as you think. It can be done. Thanks.
Cool. And if I had to ask you, what's the biggest sort of challenges or problems that you solve for your clients?
I would say it's changing their mindset about building a business. So a lot of people come to me with the idea that they have to have a profile picture. And so they're doing this because they have to. But other than that, they'd like to hide behind their logo or cute little graphics with motivational quotes, which are all lovely, but it's not the be all and end all. So I help them shift their focus from, I'm just going to do this one little shoot, and then I'm going to go back into my hiding space, into step out, get visible, and start to build that confidence. I think the confidence is the big thing because, like I mentioned earlier, it goes hand in hand with networking. These people that are scared to build an online presence are also scared to walk into a room, walk up to somebody and go, hi, I'm Candy. Nice to meet you. A lot of people are really, really scared of that sort of thing. So if I can help them to build that confidence, then they can grow in the real world and in the online world. And that comes together.
Cool. And tell me, in the community, what you're obviously quite involved in that, but when you joined the community, maybe when you joined to now, what were you hoping to give to the community, and what were you hoping to get out of the community?
So the first time I found the community was I was looking for networking events, and I joined on Meetup. I joined one of the online calls. And I realized that it's exactly how you explain it, Quentin. It's a space for building relationships. It's actually the pressure's off. It's not, let's hand out 10 business cards, and then when I get home, I'm going to throw all of your business cards in the bin. You know what I mean? So I was coming to a networking event to have conversations because we all get very lonely, stuck behind our computers and in our little offices. And yeah, just change my energy and be forward moving and going out and meeting people. That was the initial purpose in joining. And since then, I'm going to parrot what Liz has mentioned as well. It's just that the ethos of the community is very genuine. It's very focused on building those connections, she mentioned that earlier that her and I had a connect call yesterday, and I was thinking about it last night. We got on the call and rambled. There was no, it was like the ice was broken somewhere. We've never met. This was our first call, but it just flowed. And I think that comes from the app and the community that you've created, Quentin. I think that energy is already there, so that when you get on those connect calls, it's just flowing, and it's easy. And so that's what I love about it, is that what I saw in that first meeting is exactly what it still is now.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. And I think that's a big thing that people don't realize is the connecting and all of that is not just about getting new business and that. It's also skills that you're learning, because you're going to have calls where it is going to be awkward. Okay. Sometimes not all the calls are great. Some of the calls are very awkward. You don't know what to say. They don't know what to say. Everybody's looking at each other. It's weird. And it's like, oh my God, we still got another 15 minutes of this. If you've had 100 of those calls, you learn to deal with it, where it becomes, you can be put in a room with people that can't talk and you'll create conversations, literally. And that's a skill to be learned. Okay. So, and actually what you start realizing is the more you start doing it, the easier it becomes. Now, all of a sudden you start having conversations at the coffee shop with random people, this, that, you can't help yourself anymore. Okay. And that's it's a skill, that you're learning. So very important as well. Awesome. Thanks, Candy. Appreciate that. Miles, if you can just share briefly where you're from, what's your business or your industry?
Sure. How's it, everybody? Yeah, I'm Miles. I'm based in Durban, and I'm focused in the cloud space, and that's hosting data, looking after your business data, making sure it's accessible from anywhere, web hosting and mail hosting. I'm not web development, but I focus on the difficult hosting packages that don't slot into the standard profiles that are available. And my main focus of the business is business telephone systems. And value that I add to clients in that is a lot of the competitors out there are there's a lot of rules around it. So you get this piece of the puzzle and that piece of the puzzle, but I try to bring it all together into one place, so that you're getting the full featured system and it's all included in the package. So you can make calls from anywhere in the world as long as you've got an internet connection. There's no limitations on things like that. And then the main thing is somebody who's on a traditional copper line, and average cost savings of 50% on a business phone bill, with extensions and things like that on a proper telephone system. Yeah.
Cool. And if I had to ask you, if you had to sum up one of the biggest challenges that you typically, or problem that you solve for your clients?
Data management, I think, is a big thing. I think people forget the importance of either their digital business data or their means of connecting to it. So I help educate people on, your computer is a big important tool to your business, and a lot of people don't put priority into that, and they'll end up going cheaper on their computer to save money and have a newer car, and it's the computer that's making them the money to afford the car. So connection to your data, having access to your data, making sure the data is safe is my big priorities. Communication and connecting. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. So I want to ask you, and also, so everybody watching this, these weren't pre-planned questions. So I'm putting people on the spot here, but I wanted to ask you, so you've obviously been very involved also in the community and the app and all that. So what's the biggest thing that you've learned since you've been involved with the Elite Mastermind group and community?
Yeah, I think just sort of reflecting on what the others have been saying is that relaxed nature, that's always been sort of what lines up with me the most. I understand there's the other networks out there can be a lot harder on the rules and things like that, and there is a space for that, and a guideline to help actually drive the business forward, so that things don't stagnate and it just becomes a coffee club. And this handles it nicely. It's about being relaxed, making the connections, but we are here for a purpose, and we're getting guidance on how to move forward. What is that next opportunity? It's not just relaxing. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you very much for sharing that. And so I'm gonna end the recording here if you're watching this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share the details underneath this video. You're probably gonna watch this on YouTube if you're watching this. And I'm also gonna share Candy's details, Miles's details, and Liz's details under that video. So if you want to reach out to them and maybe have a conversation or whatever, maybe there's something that they said that's interesting that you'd like to know more about. Otherwise, I will see everybody in the app. Awesome.